In 1961, Dodge built something incredible, and it failed completely. The 331 diesel engine was brilliant, it was revolutionary, and it was a total disaster. This is the story of an engine that was 20 years ahead of its time, an engine that tried to bring diesel power to American families before America was ready. This is the Dodge 331 diesel, our forgotten pioneer that paid the price for dreaming too big. To understand the Dodge 331 diesel, we must first understand the America it was born into. The year was 1961, and our nation was riding high on post-war prosperity. Gas was cheap, cars were big, and efficiency was barely a whisper in the automotive conversation. Chapter 1: The Diesel Dream in America. But within the halls of Chrysler Corporation, visionaries were looking beyond the chrome in tail fins. They saw warning signs that others missed: growing concerns about fuel resources, increasing awareness of operating costs, and the inevitable march toward more efficient transportation. The decision to pursue diesel wasn't made lightly. Chrysler had been watching European manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz and Peugeot successfully integrate diesel engines into their passenger car lineups. These weren't just commercial vehicles. They were family cars, luxury sedans, everyday transportation that delivered remarkable fuel economy without sacrificing reliability. Our American automakers had the engineering talent, the manufacturing capability, and the market reach to make diesel work. What they needed was the courage to take the leap. Dodge, under the broader Chrysler umbrella, decided to be that pioneer. The project began in earnest in 1958, with Dodge's engineering team tasked with creating something unprecedented: a diesel engine that could power American passenger cars while meeting our unique demands for smoothness, quietness, and performance. The Dodge 331 diesel was, by any measure, a remarkable piece of engineering. Built on the foundation of Dodge's proven 331 cubic-inch Phi-8 gasoline engine, the diesel variant represented a complete reimagining of internal combustion for the American market. Chapter 2: Engineering the Impossible. Our engineers faced challenges that would test the limits of early 1960s technology. The compression ratio alone was a marvel. At 17:1, it was significantly higher than typical gasoline engines, requiring entirely new approaches to engine block design and cylinder head engineering. The fuel injection system was perhaps the most sophisticated element of the entire package. In an era before electronic controls, Dodge developed a purely mechanical injection system that could precisely meter fuel delivery across 8 cylinders. This wasn't just adaptation. This was innovation at its finest. The real genius lay in the details. The engine featured specially designed combustion chambers that promoted efficient fuel burn while minimizing the harsh noise typically associated with diesel engines. The block itself was reinforced to handle the enormous pressures generated by diesel combustion, yet engineered to maintain reasonable weight. Testing revealed impressive results. The 331 diesel produced respectable horsepower while delivering fuel economy that was revolutionary for American standards, nearly double the miles per gallon of comparable gasoline engines. Despite its engineering excellence, the Dodge 331 diesel began encountering problems almost immediately upon its limited release in 1961. The first signs of trouble emerged not from the engine itself, but from the infrastructure surrounding it. Chapter 3: The Infrastructure Nightmare. America in 1961 simply wasn't ready for diesel passenger cars. While diesel fuel was readily available for commercial vehicles, the distribution network for passenger car diesel was virtually non-existent. Drivers found themselves searching for fuel stations that could accommodate their needs, often driving miles out of their way to find appropriate diesel fuel. More critically, the service network was unprepared for diesel passenger cars. Mechanics who could expertly service gasoline engines were baffled by the 331 diesel's sophisticated injection system. Simple maintenance procedures became complex undertakings requiring specialized knowledge and tools that most service stations simply didn't possess. The engine's advanced technology, which should have been its greatest strength, became its greatest weakness. The mechanical injection system, while innovative, was also incredibly sensitive. It required precise calibration and maintenance intervals that were foreign to American driving habits. Perhaps most damaging was the engine's sensitivity to fuel quality. American diesel fuel of the early 1960s was formulated primarily for trucks and heavy equipment, not precision passenger car engines. Contamination issues led to injection pump failures, while seasonal fuel variations caused starting problems. The economic landscape of early 1960s America was perhaps the most insurmountable obstacle facing the Dodge 331 diesel. In a nation where gasoline cost roughly 30 cents per gallon, the fuel economy advantages of diesel power simply didn't translate into compelling financial benefits for most consumers. Chapter 4: Market Forces and Economic Reality. Our car-buying public was accustomed to large, powerful engines that delivered smooth, quiet operation. The 331 diesel, despite its engineering sophistication, couldn't completely eliminate the characteristic noise and vibration associated with diesel combustion. In an era when automotive luxury was defined by whisper-quiet operation, the diesel's distinctive rumble was perceived as a drawback. The price premium for diesel-equipped vehicles further complicated the equation. Dodge positioned the 331 diesel as a premium option, reflecting the significant additional cost of manufacturing the sophisticated injection system and reinforced engine components. For most consumers, the payback period for the higher purchase price stretched beyond their typical vehicle ownership cycle. More fundamentally, the American automotive market of 1961 was driven by different priorities than those that made diesel attractive. Power, style, and prestige mattered more than fuel economy. The muscle car era was just beginning, and consumers were increasingly focused on performance and acceleration rather than efficiency. Marketing efforts struggled to communicate the diesel's advantages to a skeptical public who simply wasn't interested in what it offered. By 1962, it was clear that the Dodge 331 diesel was heading toward complete commercial failure. Sales numbers were dismal, with only a handful of units finding their way into customer hands. Dealer complaints were mounting, and service issues were becoming legendary within automotive circles. Chapter 5: The Spectacular Failure. The problems cascaded quickly. Early adopters who had purchased 331 diesel-equipped vehicles began experiencing a litany of issues. Injection pumps failed prematurely, fuel systems became contaminated, and starting problems plagued owners, especially in cold weather. What should have been routine maintenance became expensive ordeals requiring specialized parts and expertise. Word spread rapidly through automotive communities. The Dodge 331 diesel, despite its technical merits, was gaining a reputation as a maintenance nightmare. Consumer publications began warning potential buyers about the complexities and costs associated with diesel ownership. Chrysler's dealers, initially enthusiastic about offering cutting-edge technology, quickly soured on the diesel option. The specialized training required for service technicians, combined with the need for unique diagnostic equipment and parts inventory, made the 331 diesel a costly proposition for dealerships. By 1963, Chrysler quietly discontinued the 331 diesel option. The grand experiment in American diesel passenger cars had lasted less than 3 years, leaving behind a trail of frustrated customers, expensive lessons, and a corporate reluctance to revisit diesel technology that would persist for more than a decade. While the Dodge 331 diesel failed commercially, its technological innovations were decades ahead of their time. The engine embodied engineering solutions that wouldn't become mainstream until the 1980s and 1990s, when diesel technology finally found its place in American automotive culture. Chapter 6: Ahead of its time, the pioneering spirit. The sophisticated fuel injection system developed for the 331 diesel pioneered precision metering techniques that would later become standard in both diesel and gasoline engines. The mechanical injection technology that Dodge perfected in 1961 served as the foundation for electronic fuel injection systems that would revolutionize automotive efficiency 20 years later. Perhaps most significantly, the 331 diesel addressed environmental concerns that were barely on the public radar in 1961. The engine's superior fuel economy and lower carbon dioxide emissions represented an early response to environmental challenges that wouldn't become mainstream concerns until the 1970s oil crises. The engine's design philosophy also anticipated the globalization of automotive technology. While American manufacturers were focused on domestic preferences, Dodge recognized that future success would require engines that could compete internationally. The 331 diesel was designed with global capabilities in mind, incorporating technologies that European manufacturers had already proven successful. Our engineers working on the 331 diesel project were essentially developing solutions for problems that didn't yet exist in the American market. They were building the future, one innovation at a time. Behind every engineering failure lies a human story, and the Dodge 331 diesel disaster left a trail of broken careers and shattered dreams that extended far beyond corporate boardrooms. Chapter 7: The Human Cost. The engineering team that created the 331 diesel were among Chrysler's brightest minds. Professionals who had poured years of their lives into perfecting what they genuinely believed would revolutionize American transportation. When the project collapsed, many found themselves reassigned to conventional engine programs, their expertise in diesel technology suddenly irrelevant. Project leader Robert Anderson, who had championed diesel passenger cars since the late 1950s, saw his career trajectory permanently altered. The man who had once been considered a rising star in Chrysler's engineering hierarchy found himself relegated to supporting roles, his vision dismissed as commercially naive. The dealers who had invested in diesel service training and equipment faced their own challenges. Many had spent thousands of dollars preparing their service departments for what they believed would be the next big thing in automotive technology. When diesel sales evaporated, they were left with specialized tools and training that had no application. But perhaps the most poignant casualties were the customers themselves, the early adopters who had believed in Dodge's diesel vision. These owners found themselves stranded with vehicles that were increasingly difficult to service, with parts becoming scarce and resale values plummeting. The failure of the Dodge 331 diesel had far-reaching consequences that extended well beyond Chrysler Corporation. The project's commercial disaster created a chilling effect throughout the American automotive industry, essentially ending serious consideration of diesel passenger cars for more than a decade. Chapter 8: The Ripple Effects. Our domestic manufacturers interpreted the 331 diesel's failure as proof that American consumers would never accept diesel technology in passenger cars. This conclusion, while understandable given the immediate market response, would prove costly when fuel crises of the 1970s suddenly made efficiency a priority. The cautionary tale of the 331 diesel contributed to American manufacturers' reluctance to invest in alternative powertrains during the 1960s. While European and Japanese manufacturers continued developing diesel technology, American companies focused on perfecting gasoline engines, leaving them unprepared for the efficiency demands that would emerge in the following decades. The project's comprehensive documentation and testing data became a valuable resource for future diesel development efforts. When Chrysler and other manufacturers eventually returned to diesel passenger car development in the late 1970s, they built upon the foundation established by the 331 diesel team. Most significantly, the 331 diesel experience influenced American automotive culture's relationship with diesel technology. The engine's reputation for complexity and maintenance challenges created lasting skepticism about diesel passenger cars that persisted even as the technology improved dramatically. While the Dodge 331 diesel was failing spectacularly in America, diesel passenger cars were thriving in markets around the world. This stark contrast reveals how deeply the engine's failure was rooted in uniquely American circumstances rather than inherent flaws in the technology itself. Chapter 9: The Global Perspective. In Europe, manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz, Peugeot, and later Volkswagen were building successful businesses around diesel passenger cars. European consumers, facing higher fuel prices and different cultural attitudes toward efficiency, embraced diesel technology as a practical solution to transportation needs. The infrastructure differences were striking. European fuel stations routinely carried diesel fuel for passenger cars. Mechanics were trained in diesel service, and parts distribution networks supported diesel ownership. What seemed impossible in 1961 America was already routine in 1961 Europe. Perhaps most revealing was the cultural dimension. European automotive culture valued efficiency, longevity, and technical sophistication, exactly the qualities that the 331 diesel offered. American automotive culture of the early 1960s prioritized power, style, and convenience, qualities that diesel technology couldn't yet deliver in ways that satisfied our market expectations. The global success of diesel passenger cars during the 1960s and 1970s served as a constant reminder of what might have been. As fuel crises struck America in the 1970s, suddenly the advantages of diesel technology became apparent to our consumers. But by then, we had lost crucial development time. The Dodge 331 diesel disaster taught our industry invaluable lessons about innovation, timing, and market readiness. These lessons would prove crucial as diesel technology eventually found its place in American automotive culture, particularly during the fuel crises of the 1970s and the environmental awareness movement of the 1980s. Chapter 10. Lessons from the laboratory. First, technological excellence alone cannot guarantee market success. The 331 diesel was a superior engine in many measurable ways, but it failed because it didn't address the actual priorities of its target market. Innovation must be matched with market understanding and consumer education. Second, infrastructure readiness is as important as product readiness. The failure of the 331 diesel highlighted the critical importance of supporting systems, fuel availability, service networks, and supply chains. Even the most advanced technology will fail if the infrastructure to support it doesn't exist. Third, timing is everything in automotive innovation. The 331 diesel was introduced at least a decade too early. The same basic technology that failed in 1961 would become highly successful when market conditions had evolved to support diesel passenger cars. Perhaps most importantly, the 331 diesel experience taught us that failure can be as valuable as success in driving technological progress. The engineering knowledge gained from the project wasn't lost. It was preserved, refined, and ultimately applied to later diesel developments that would prove far more successful. The Dodge 331 diesel failed so others could succeed. Sometimes being first means being forgotten. Sometimes being brilliant means being wrong. But that's how progress works. Someone has to fail first. Someone has to dream too big. Someone has to crash and burn so others can fly. That's the legacy of our forgotten pioneer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ride with us on the next Forgotten Frontier.